That's what the episode is called.
Uh, it's funny because no one's going to understand because we don't even talk about it in the actual episode.
All right. Here we go. So Sarah's going to the grocery store, so probably have to go back to. I'll probably have to hop off in an hour or so just to drive up to the office. But then we
Okay.
can kind of resume after that.
Resume on Zoom. Nice.
Resume.
I like it. Well, resume our Zoom meeting. You'll get off Zoom, you'll Zoom to work, and then we'll resume our Zoom meeting.
Uh-huh.
Nice. So, should we talk about today? Should we work or just waste time?
I like the idea of wasting time. That sounds fun.
Sounds like a plan. I'm always up for wasting time. Oh, okay. Random fact. We're actually, no, let's play a game. This is a can of tomatoes.
Mhm.
So guess how much this cost?
$3.
Wow. I didn't think you would guess, but okay. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Three
And that
bucks
was
for
the
a can of tomatoes?
cheapest ones I could find.
Dang.
And it's like, okay, most things are cheap here, but it's like, why is a can of tomatoes super expensive? I don't know.
Dang.
And same for corn, like cans are super expensive over here.
Dang. Crazy.
Canada, this like a can like this is like $1. Here, like the cheapest ones I could find were like the equivalent of $3 Canadian. By the way, do you have these like tab cans like that you just pull the tab and it opens in the US?
Sometimes they come with the tab and sometimes not. And it's like it doesn't seem to be standardized. I don't know. Like even brands like that use them, they don't use them across like all of their products. I don't know it's very strange.
That's weird because in Canada, like I haven't seen those until the last couple of years, and even then, it's like, you only see them rarely, and they're like twice the price. But down here, it's like that's all they have. It's very rare you're gonna find a can that you need an actual can opener. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. Why is not everyone doing this? That is
Yeah, I
my
don't
goal in
really.
life, to convince society to remove the can opener from our life.
Mhm.
That is my goal that I just decided right now. Yes, we can. That is my slogan.
Oh my goodness.
I'm enjoying this. I've missed just floating.
Me too. I feel like it's something I don't know. It just it's always just makes me happy when we just like do stupid stuff. And it doesn't have to have a point.
And the thing is, I feel like even if we start completely random, we're always going to end up being productive.
Mhm.
Whereas lately, let's say the last week, and that might have been my fault because I was in like, all right, let's do this mode. And it's like, building out the funnel, building out the
Mhm.
back end, building out this, building out that. So it's like, I
Mhm.
was in that mindset of like, let's just do this.
Mhm.
And yes, sorry about that. But like yesterday, as an example, we started off just floating and then we kind of pretty much fleshed out a big portion of the stories we need. So it's like, we were actually
Mhm.
very productive. By the way, it's funny because this is like yesterday was the first time that I was actually kind of I don't know, helping someone craft stories. Because in the past, like I'm always the one creating stories, inventing stories, telling stories, trying to refine my stories. But it's like this was an interesting thing being like on the outside and saying like, okay, I like what you're saying, but tweak it like this to make it like more impactful. Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I really liked the process. And I feel like it's something that we're both able to do for other people. So I feel like if we kind of really if story is one of the kind of the pillars of what we do, like we both have a lot to offer and bring to the table with that, which is really cool because it's like it doesn't feel like work when you're doing something that you like and that you're good at. It's like, oh yeah, like I'll just tell you my like you should do this or that, and it's you already have demonstrated authority and expertise in that area. So you don't have to justify or like, you've already built that credibility and earned the trust with people because you've just done it so much.
Yeah, it's like this is the one thing that it's like I don't feel the need to prove that I can help. It's like I've published 7 books, been read by 7 million people. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to stories. Like that is one of the few things in business. Now that we incorporated this, I'm like, I don't need to study or get better at this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm wondering, because what came up was, crap, does that mean that I'm gonna have to help like people craft their story on the front end?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something that we can actually both do. But I'm thinking we probably have different skills. And I think you're
Mm-hmm.
better at talking to people and like pulling out the stories from their life. And I think I'm maybe better on the back end of like looking at the stories and be like, all right, present it like this, focus on that, zoom in here, pull out there to kind of like craft a story that is more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'm the best for like figuring out what those stories are. So maybe it makes more sense if like we do as we're planning. So it's like whenever someone gets the fast action bonus, they hop on a 90-minute like call with you and you kind of like have a conversation, figure out what stories they need to tell. And then maybe I can come in on the back end of that and just work with them maybe like 15 minutes of like, all right, what's your story? Let's
Mm-hmm.
work on it to make it better, more impactful.
Yeah.
Or it could be like 60 minutes with you to like, figure out what stories they need to
Mm-hmm.
tell and things like that. And then like 30 minutes with me of like, all right, what are your
Mm-hmm.
stories? How can we make them like more punchy?
Right.
But I guess
So
we'll discover that with time. I don't think we need to
yeah.
necessarily in advance.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Oh yeah, by the way, I've been so like distracted with the webinar. Um, I have everything that I need on the back end so I can record the like video tour of the
Hmm.
members area, or were we missing something?
I think you were debating whether or not to do it with like with the firestorm, just saying like this is where
Mm,
you're gonna see posts
yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah.
firestorm. It's like, and so wasn't sure if you were wanted to wait for that or just go ahead and do it and then
All right, cool. No, I'll just wait. It'll be easier. I was just wondering in my head, I was like so focused on the webinar. I'm like, okay, that isn't done yet. And I'm like, why isn't it done yet?
mm.
All good. Oh, random fact, and it's amazing because it's about poop. Did you know that when you eat a dragon fruit, it makes your poop like pink? Kind of like when you eat beets. I did not know
That's
that.
that's crazy. No, I did not know that either.
Well, either that or there's something very, very wrong with the
That's hilarious. Mm.
uh, I'm enjoying this. In the kitchen, eating oranges, cooking beans, and talking about crap. Shooting the shit by talking about actual shit. Man, this conversation is a real crapshoot. Okay, I think I'm done. Who are we kidding? I'm never done.
Oh man.
By the way, I'm curious because you mentioned like every once in a while, but I don't really know if you do it regularly. So how often do you run?
Um, well, I take the girls out every morning. I don't do a lot of running right now just because like both of them in the stroller is a lot. But every once in a while I'll go for a run. But usually like we'll go at least 2 miles every day. So and I'm pushing a stroller, so it's like it's still a bit of a workout, just not the same as running. It's okay. Still fun.
Yeah, it's always like that when you're running with other people, especially me, because like I'm taller. So it's like
Hmm.
most of the time when I'm running with someone else, like that means I need to slow my pace.
Hmm.
Like whenever I'm running with someone else, like, okay, it's cool, it's fun, there's someone else there, but I'm just like, I feel like I'm not pushing myself and really working out.
Yeah, that's how it feels most of the time. It's like I really would like to get back to just being able to run, but it's the stroller that we have is um like for two kids, it is not a jogging stroller. There's so much resistance and so much friction that's even pushing them, like my whole back, like my shoulder blades tingle when I'm walking with them because it's really uncomfortable. But the
I'm still
the
listening, keep going, I'm just having fun.
oh, there's a lizard that's like he's blowing up his little like pouch thing in his neck.
I've never seen one of those in real life.
Really?
No, I've never seen a lizard like go like a or whatever, like they I don't know what it's called, but yeah, never seen
That's
them
probably
do that.
way too far away. He's on the fence.
I mean, I can see the lizard, but I can't like make it out well enough to see anything specific. That's a really green lizard.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Oh, it's funny since we're talking about lizard. The other because of the dome ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you know, it's Central America, so there's lizards everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like spiders. Like if you're like, okay, there's spiders in the home. Who cares? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's kind of the same for lizards. And the other day I was lying in bed. It's like I hear like, boop, and I look. It's like, oh, there's a lizard that just fell from the ceiling onto the bed. Like it's a tiny one, maybe like 2 inches long, but it's like that would have probably scared the crap out of me if it fell on me. And then I was kind of hoping, like, I kind of wish a lizard falls on me just because it would be funny.
That's amazing.
Unless I'm like sleeping on my back, like snoring, it falls in my mouth. That would not be as funny. It's like you wake up, you're like, although that would make a really good story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Come to think of it, it did. They put it in the Parent Trap. The there was a
which one?
there was a scene, the new one with Lindsay Lohan. I mean,
Okay.
I say
Well,
new, but
I
it's
like
like
how, yeah, I
20
was gonna
year,
say, I
it's
like
like a
that's like
20-year-old
new. Like,
movie.
yeah.
The remake, I guess is a better way of saying it. But yeah, some oh snap. She's probably old enough to like play the mom and in a remake of it again.
Yes, although I don't think she would pull off a believable mother. I mean, I don't know, just I don't know. It's an impression. I don't know it personally. I just get the like that celebrity impression. And
Hmm.
from the things I've heard, I'm like, oh, she seems like she'd be a horrible mother, but that's just celebrity is like that's probably not accurate. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I feel like since she grew up in the entertainment industry, um, like I feel like she hasn't experienced a real life. So she doesn't really quite like normal things that like she doesn't quite have like a groundedness. So I think that's why she struggled so much in like her.
Yeah, I was just picturing something. Imagine having those two celebrities as your parents, Lindsay Lohan and Justin Bieber. That would be horrible. That would make such a screwed up kid.
Oh man. Oh dang.
Lindsay
But that
Bieber.
would but that would actually, now that I think about it, the the lin the like you could do a Parent Trap movie with those kinds of people and make it be about like it would be a kids movie, but it would also be an adults movie where you're showing kind of like this is what it looks like to have two kind of loser parents who's like they split up because they didn't know how to make it work. They're both kind of like pawning off their responsibilities, so sending their kids away to camp, and they're kind of like they're trying to struggle and make it on their own instead of as a unit, as a family. And so then the kids are the ones that kind of recognize or realize like we're better together than we are apart. I mean, that is the theme of the film, but it's more like the resolution of like the child wanting both of their parents and that sort of thing. But I think that like that idea kind of would resonate with a lot of I think a lot of young adults are adults our age like kind of have struggled in that sort of like transition into adulthood of like how do I make this work?
It's funny because you're like young adults or us. It's like, yeah, we're basically young adults. We never grew up.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we look at like everyone else. It's like we're more grown up than a lot of people.
Yeah, in some aspects for sure. In other aspects, I feel like I'm still happily like a kid making a
But I feel like
sandcastle
that
in the dirt.
I feel like that's the same thing. Most people associate that like sense of fear and uncertainty with those years. So they always feel like that, but it's like it's just part of life.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just, I guess, when we're teenagers, like that's our entire life. So we're like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, that feeling is being associated with a teenager, but like whenever you travel or things are unexpected or you're struggling, it's like it's those
Hmm.
same feelings, but it has nothing to do with being a teenager. It just kind of like there's the connection made in our head.
Yeah. What year was that? Was that in the 90s or was that in the aughts? The parent 1998.
It's funny because I don't even really remember the story of that movie. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember anything about it.
I feel like the most memorable part of it was
The end, because you're
just
like,
that
yeah,
it was like, yeah,
yeah. Ooh, interesting topic. What's the dumbest thing you've done lately?
Dumbest thing I've done.
Aside from talking to me almost every day.
Hmm. That's a good question. What is the dumbest thing I've done recently?
That's probably a sign that you need to do more dumb things.
Yeah. All right. What could I do that's dumb right now?
Dum da dum dum dum.
Okay. Keep this bottle cap.
Da da dum 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 dum. I hope you don't choke. That would really suck. I feel like it would be difficult to eat a bottle cap. I think it would take a while. I like your expression, like, what's happening right now?
This is not good.
Uh, so okay, you haven't done that many things. That's I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Hmm.
Well, it's not really dumb, but it's a little dumb. But the stupidest thing I did lately was cancel a date because it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, it's like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I need to walk probably a kilometer to get to a place where I can get a taxi. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and I don't have an umbrella, so I'm going to be soaked if I go on the date. But it's like, it's still a kind of a bullshit excuse. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still kind of dumb in a way.
Oh, I know. Like this morning, I only shaved like half of my face. Like I got interrupted and I didn't even finish shaving my face.
So was it like half and half or like just a section?
Well, it's just like I just shaved here, but like all the rest of my face hasn't been shaved yet.
I've never actually shaved regularly, simply for the fact that my skin is sensitive, and every time I try to shave regularly, it's like I get that like I don't know, razor burn thingy. And it's like gets those like pimple like thingies, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Mhm.
not good for my skin. Like I can't shave regularly.
Mm.
So unfortunately, I can never have a normal job. You know what would be really cool?
Hmm.
If you could, well, I don't know how it would work exactly, but like, I don't know, maybe modify the DNA or whatever, but it's like program your body to be like, all right, stop growing hair in this spot. So you're like, all right, I want a beard, but I don't want neck beard. So just stop growing hair in the neck area. And then you never have to shave there again. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I've heard that like laser hair removal or like electrolysis is still not permanent at like removing hair. It just
Hmm.
like it tries to kill off the hair follicles or like shut them down, but it doesn't necessarily last permanently. Like a lot of times the like I don't know if it's that you like grow new hair cells, and then it like all of that stuff, just like the stuff that was killed off just like eventually gets replaced or
That would
what? But
sense because the body, like they say, like cells regenerate. So it's like every 7 years, you're no longer who you were 7 years ago because every
mhm,
single cell in your body has regenerated. So maybe it's that process that kind of
mm,
regenerates that part of your body. And because it
that
happens gradually, it's not like, oh, all at once. It's just like, well, there's
right.
a new one, there's a new one.
Mhm. Yeah. Hmm.
I felt like there was something to this, but I don't know. I forgot. I got distracted.
I have
Ooh, seeing you with the bottle near your mouth reminded me. Have you ever done this when you were young? When you go to the restaurant, there's like those little like packs of jam or peanut butter or caramel or whatever like that they have on the table for when you have
mhm.
toast. And you kind of like bite the a corner of it so there's a little hole and then you just kind of like suck the jam through the hole.
Don't think I've ever done it with jam. I used to do that with hot sauce.
Ooh.
Used to
Uh,
get like packets of sauce from Taco Bell and just like very, very, very slowly like sip it. Just I don't know, just it's one of those things you do as a kid, like more because you're bored than like you really want it. It's like, oh,
True.
this is something I can do.
Oh, that also works with like the milk or cream packet from when
Mm.
you have coffee and you can like, yeah, I got nothing else to do. It's more like when you're young and you go like to the restaurant with like your parents and your grandparents, whatever. And it's like they're just talking and you're like, we're done eating. I'm bored. I'm just gonna like eat stuff. Uh, ah,
Mm.
since we're talking about grandparents, random facts, not fact, one fact. Random fact, I've never met either of my grandfathers.
Hmm, that is random.
Not because they ran away or anything, like they just died before I was born.
I I knew all of my grandparents, but I didn't meet any of my grandpa's family on my mom's side because he was like an illegitimate kid. And my dad's side, I only met like my his grandmother, my great grandmother, but everybody else was had died on my dad's side of the family, of the like the great grandparents. But I knew my grandma, both of my grandmas are still alive. My grandpa on my dad's side died three 2 3 years ago, and I think my grandpa on my mom's side probably died 10 or 15. No, it's been, yeah, been like 13 13 years, 14 years or so now. It's really weird. It's really funny because like my grandpa on my dad's side died a couple of years ago, and then my grandma on my dad's side, his wife, like she's just kind of slowly declined. Like a big part of her routine in her life was like taking care of my grandpa, and like now that that's gone, she's just sort of like slowly unwinding. And but like my grandma, like my grandma that lives here with my mom and dad, it's like she's still, you know, I mean, she's older, she does weird old people stuff, but she's still like cognizant and, you know, real with it. She acts like she doesn't need anybody's help. Still tries to get around and do like everything by herself, even though she shouldn't. But like you'd never know that she like that. Like my grandpa, I don't think she was nearly as attached to him as like my grandma on my dad's side. So just funny, like the differences in relationships.
Yeah, some people it's like their partners their whole life, and other people
Mhm.
it's like it's, someone that I share my
Mhm.
life with, but I'm okay
Right.
being alone. And some
Yeah.
people are like, oh, finally they're dead.
Yeah.
Actually, some people are like, you know what? They're not dying quickly enough. I'm gonna kill him. By the way, to come back to what we were saying before, just because I remembered what I was thinking before,
Mm,
I
mhm.
wonder what you would look like with a beard.
I don't know. I feel like it would be really weird.
But like, I don't know, because I've never seen you with even like this like stubble or anything. So it's like I don't know how full or unfull your beard is. So it's like I don't know what to picture. All I know for me is like about this length, like that's the most it can get. Anywhere beyond that, it just starts looking like really patchy and crappy.
Hmm.
To the point where I like came up with a joke where it's like, if I was an Indian chief, I would be
Hmm.
called a patchy beard. Chief Apache.
I my my facial hair is like real patchy and it's very like my whiskers are very spread out. I have a very dense facial hair. So like when
Okay,
it grows out, it's sort of
Asian
looks
style.
like yeah, yeah. So it's when I just kind of look like homeless. I'm like, oh, that guy is not taking care of himself, kind of thing. So I just keep it shaved,
Yes, the
except for
same
when I
for me.
forget to shave.
The few times I tried to, like, beard stubble like this, it's fine. In fact, it looks pretty good, I like to believe, but I could be wrong. Anyway, that's
Hmm.
fine. But it's like anytime I let it grow out, it just looks like patchy and like unkept. And it's like I do get that like homeless guy kind of look.
Mm.
And it's funny because one of my friends, like my best friend from when I was young, like he has the same kind of beard, but like he lets it grow out, and I'm just like, I look at it and I'm
Hmm.
like, so bad. Just like he's happy with his beard. So I'm like, good for him. But I'm just like, why do you keep that? Why are you doing that to yourself? Uh, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I kind of wish I had a thicker beard because then you can do cool
Hmm.
stuff with beard when it's nice,
Hmm.
Nope. Oh well. No one's ever satisfied with anything anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, this brings up an interesting. No, it's not interesting, but whatever. We all have things about ourselves that we don't like that most people are like, I didn't even notice that.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, like, if you have stuff like for me, it's my eyes, like the bags under my eyes, they always bug me because I'm like, I always look
Mm.
exhausted, but I'm like, that's just
Hmm.
how my body is.
Hmm.
I need to accept it. Still haven't quite accepted it, but it's like, I don't know, there's just that one thing that bugs me.
Have you ever tried like putting like cream on
Oh,
them
I
or
tried
anything like that?
everything you can think of and much of a difference. So I've just like
You
accepted it, but I still wish it
you
was
could
different.
start painting your eyes like a raccoon, and then nobody would ever notice the bags under your eye.
Or it can be one of those douchebags who always wear sunglasses.
Yeah, like Jack Nicholson. Be 12 o'clock
Uh,
at night. It's like you're indoors, like 11 p.m., still wearing glasses.
He's like, I'm undercover. No one recognizes me. So yeah, do you have anything like that? Because I'm just curious, because it's like everyone's different. So it's like Bobby mentioned like he doesn't like his nose, and it's like until you mentioned him, like I didn't even consider that
Oh.
once. Then he mentioned it, I'm like, ah, okay, I guess we all have our own thing.
Um,
It'd be funny. It's like my thing is your baggy eyes.
that would be amazing. Oh man. I guess the one thing that I think bugs me is I tend to get warts on my toes every so often. And it's so freaking annoying to put um stuff on it, or or yeah, just keep putting wort compound and stuff on it to get them to go away. It's like I don't know what causes it, if it's like a dormant thing and it just pops up every so often, or if it's an infection that you get from somewhere
I
else, but it's
like I did get some when I was young, but I haven't had any like since.
Mhm,
So it's like if it was something that's kind of like inside me, like, okay, why did it happen when I was young and it hasn't happened for
mhm.
like years?
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but it's just weird. But I mean, to me, it's just annoying to do have something to pay attention to over and over and over again.
Yeah. Although for me, I think I know why it happened because I told you a while back, like back then, every
Mhm,
Halloween I would make like, homemade like broomsticks to sell for people for
mhm,
decoration. It's like,
mhm.
hey, I'm making broomsticks. Of course I'm gonna have warts.
So when you say you made broomsticks, what exactly does that mean? How did you do that?
Means
How
I would
did you
find like like stick that's straight and nice, and I would like cut it at the right length. Then I would
Mhm,
go straw, like it wasn't like actual straw that you like grew in the field, but it's like the kind that grows by itself. So it's kind of like
mhm,
grass that when you let it grow into seeds, like it looks
mhm,
kind of like straw. So I'd go and
mhm,
pick that and like wrap it
mhm,
around the base of the broom, and then
mhm,
like wrap metal wiring around that to hold it in place.
mhm.
So it'd be kind of like a straw broom.
Oh, nice. And they were for decoration, or was it something you could
Yeah,
actually sleep with?
for decoration. Like I don't
Mm,
remember how many I sold. Probably like maybe like couple, 5 max a year or something like that. I don't remember
mhm.
exactly, but it's like I remember it was a thing that I did. And
That's
I
such a cool.
think I sold it for like $5 or something. So it's like
Hmm.
not like I made much money with that. But it's just funny how it's like I only remember that recently, that and pens. So I don't know what they're
Mhm,
called. Um, I don't know if it's actually up, but that's what we called it, like sumac,
mhm,
of like small trees
mhm,
that like have like red grapes of like almost like puffy things that grow on it. I don't know if
mhm,
you probably have in the US, like in certain regions. I don't know. I'd have to send you a picture. Anyway, those, and
mhm,
it's like the wood that like the branches are super light and the
mhm,
inside is kind of like hollow. And there's like this almost like spongy styrofoam kind of thing. So it's like if
mhm.
you push something hard through, you can hollow it out. So it's
Oh.
like I cut those branches like maybe like big as a finger, and then like
Mhm,
empty it out, and then take the like inside of a pen and just like stick it at the end,
mhm,
like make a pen, and then at the other end I would stick like the hat of an acorn, if you will, to kind of like keep it
mhm,
shut. And then I would like cut a piece of wood like a log like straight at one
Mhm.
end, like an angle at the other, and like drill holes in it, and then
Mhm.
like put the pen in it, like in a pen holder, and like I'd sell those or give it to like people for birthdays. Probably very crappy gift because like, oh great, one of those. But to be fair, I'm surprised because my aunt who lived with my grandmother, like she hated kids and we knew that she hated kids. And
Mhm.
it's like you can sense when someone doesn't like you, and every time we went to visit, like we
Mhm.
just said that. But I gave her one of those pens 1 year for her birthday, and it's like 10, 15 years later, she still had it.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Mm.
that was kind of surprising. I wasn't expecting, like, she probably just like took it, put it on her shelf and never like touched it again. But
Mhm.
I'm just like, oh, I guess that's still kind of nice. The joys of childhood. I know,
Mm.
but for me at least, I don't know about my sister, but for me, like that aunt was always the example of what I don't want my life to become.
Mm.
It's like she moved out of her parents' house like for 2 years, I think it was, lived on her own, then came back and never left again.
Oh wow.
And she had like a job working in like a like governmental like mail job,
Mhm.
and like mail as in like post office mail.
Mhm.
And like she never really got a promotion, never really advanced, never really wanted to do anything more with her life. So it's like living at home, like dead end job. Well, not dead end, like it paid well, but it's like there's no sense of fulfillment, no advancement, no
Mhm.
accomplishment. It's like a boring job. And
Yeah.
then she would spend like all her time in her room watching TV and drinking like Coke and like eating crappy. So it's like she was diabetic, she was super overweight, and it's like
Mm.
everything about her life is like, I don't want that as a life.
Mm.
So for me, that was always the example of what I don't want to be.
Mhm.
Especially at the end, like I forget how old she was when she passed away, but it's like she ended up in the hospital because of like her diabetes. She got gangrene, had to have like her legs amputated, and it's like really like a sad end to a
Mm.
sad life. I'm just like that. It's just every time I saw her, I'm like, that's a reminder of what I don't want to be.
Wow.
And it's like, in a way, it sucks, but it's like she was content with her life. She could have done more. She chose not to. So it's like, I don't feel bad for her.
Mhm.
And it's good that it was able to show me what I didn't want from life.
Yeah. Huh.
Then again, like it could be the same for my mother of like, she is like, well, extreme conspiracy theorist. And it's like, aliens are among us and the government is controlling us and 9/11 is a hoax and COVID does not exist. And like, it's like, okay, even if all those things are true,
Mhm.
what does it change in my life? It does not
Yeah.
affect the world I live in. I mean, if it does, like I can't do anything about it.
Mhm.
So it's like, why would I spend my time like researching and like doing all these things and thinking about that and stressing and having it affect my life? And it's like,
Mhm.
no. So it's like, that's also another good example of what I don't want to be. I respect
Yeah.
her because she's very open-minded and very strong-willed, and she doesn't care what
Mhm.
anybody thinks. But it's like, yeah, I do not want to be
Mhm.
like her. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's a good thing to be able to see that. It's like it took me a long time to accept that, just because like when you're young, you see your parents as like, they're my parents, they're my heroes, they're perfect. It's like
Mhm.
you grow up and you start to realize like, yeah, they're nowhere near perfect. Like, mom's a conspiracy
Yeah.
theorist. My dad's like very not introverted, but just very superficial.
Mm.
Like we've never had a very deep conversation.
Mm.
It's like we were very similar when I was young. And it's
Mhm.
like we still are to some degree. Like I've kind of grown out of it. But it's just like he leads a very simple life, and whenever we're together, it's like we don't talk that much, and it's never very profound conversations. And it's just like, to me, it seems like a very superficial life. But that's just my perception. It's like I don't want to judge him, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, he's not as perfect as I made him out to be when I was young, you know?
Yeah. I wonder. You know, it's really funny, like the way, like what you just described of the stuff that your mom believes, or at least, um, like I've thought of each of those different things. I'm like independently, probably all this stuff's true from like some version of reality or like some aspect of.
Yeah.
It's like it might not all exist in this version of reality. But I'm like, on some level, it's like, yeah, the government does like make a lot of the rules and control things in a way. It's like, I don't think it happens the way that conspiracy theorists tend to, like, they have these stories of like, you know, everybody
Satanic
getting to-
rituals and drinking
yeah,
baby
like everybody getting
blood.
together in a room and coordinating. It's like people are way too like, it's just the amount of energy that it takes to get people to do stuff that they even want to do is so hard. Like I just don't see that happening like at an actual level. But I do think there's some aspects of what people sense or think that is like happening at sort of maybe more of a macro, like cultural level.
And I think like those kinds of things, it's maybe less on the government level and more on the like, super rich level. So like, you know, Elon Musk and Bill Gates and stuff like that. Like, hey, if you're like the richest people in the world, you're probably gonna like get together with the other richest people and just have conversations like, hey, how do we want to impact the world? Because we have the power to do that.
Right, exactly.
Probably not like as evil as conspiracy theorists make it seem.
Oh
It's
yeah, no. I think it's sort of like a like I can't imagine like the kinds of conversations that like an aunt might have about the people living in the house where there's like, oh, those people, they're always putting out ant poison, they're always like spraying the yard down. It's like it's all just a big conspiracy. They just want to wipe us out. And we're like, no, not really. we're just doing the stuff that everything needs to have for stuff to maintain order and balance. Black chicken. I'm sorry, an African American chicken.
Oh, that reminds me. We never actually had this conversation about political correctness. Because like it's getting so extreme that it's ridiculous. Like in Canada, some years back, like they literally created a law that makes it illegal for you to use the wrong pronoun while referring to someone. It's like, okay, how are you supposed to know which pronoun to use when you meet someone? You don't. You use it the wrong one, technically, that's illegal. Like, of course, they're never going to give you a ticket for it. But it's like, we're living in a society where they feel the need to do that. It's like, my friend and I just like, every once in a while, we just like make jokes of like, all right, how extreme is this going to be? Like, is it going to get to the point where it's like, oh, I have sex with a black girl, so now I need to have sex with an Asian girl and an Indian girl and a white girl just to make up for it because we don't want anyone to feel bad. And it's like, you know, we come up with like ridiculous things like that. And I'm just like, we never had that conversation. So I'm just curious, what are your views on political correctness?
Well, in my opinion, I think it's actually a lot more important than people seem to think it is, which is, I mean, no, I was trying to make a joke, but I lost
but I was intrigued because I
didn't quite
respect
come together.
your opinions. I'm like, I wonder where you're going with this. I was curious.
I was gonna try and do some sort of thing where like I establish that political correctness is important and then just completely shatter it by calling you a girl or something. But I didn't quite come together.
Kind of like political correctness.
Right? Exactly. No, I mean I very much I believe that it's important to the extent of like one-on-one personal relationships. Like if you personally want to help somebody feel safe or feel seen, like be a human and like use your, your compassion for people. I don't think it's something we need to like mandate because like when you, as soon as you start, creating laws and rules and be like, all right, everybody be nice to each other. It's sort of like it undermines the principle of you know, what is truly supposed to be happening. And it's sort of like rules to me often come across as sort of like the last resort. It's like, all right, if we're all too immature to like do what's supposed to be done, then we're gonna have to make a rule that like forces everybody, it's like putting a kid in a crib. That's what it feels like to me. It's like apparently we can't trust y'all to be adults about this, so we're gonna have to make a rule. And then it just like for the people who do have some semblance of decorum or you know um common sense, it just seems like it's really silly. But
Yeah, so it's like, as long as you're a decent human being,
mhm.
we'll be okay. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's the problem I find with political correctness, is because when you want to be inclusive and have everyone feel good, you're limiting everyone else.
Mhm.
And it's like, we're just slowing down the progress when we do that because we want
Mhm.
everyone else. It's like, well, no, like you can't be smart because that makes me feel dumb because I don't have the same cognitive capabilities as you. So everyone needs to lower themselves to my level.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, but how does society advance when we do that?
Mhm.
And it's just like, there's a lot of stuff like that that's just seems dumb to me. It's like people are like
Mhm.
offended for no reason. And sometimes it's funny. Like I remember a couple years back, I was going to like an improv group and I went like a few times. And I think that was the first time I went like once after like the start of COVID, just to see what it was like. And we like all gone in a circle and there was like one person running it. And they're like, all right,
Mhm.
let's just go around the circle before we begin and say like which pronoun we want people to refer to us. And I was like, really,
Mhm.
we're doing that? So it's like, anyway, everyone does it. And then a couple of minutes later, a guy shows up who's late and he comes and then the woman like stops. It's like, oh, can you tell us which pronoun we should use to refer to you? And he's like, she. And she's like, no, I'm serious. And the guy's like, yes, so am I. And just her face of like, oh shit, I was trying to be politically correct and I'm the one who fucking insulted him. It was so good. That was amazing. That moment was like, that is why it does not work. Oh, that was so good.
That's really funny. Excuse
Oh,
me.
by the way, that reminds me, yesterday I was talking with a friend on a slightly different topic, but I forget how it came up. But we came to the realization of like, oh crap, because of sex change operations now, it's possible for a woman to become a man and then get pregnant and have a kid. So it's technically possible for a man to get pregnant now.
Mhm.
So I actually Googled it and it happened. In 2007, a man who used to be a woman had a sex change operation, became like, changed her gender. So it's like she was legally a male,
Mhm.
married to a woman. They like, she got pregnant because her wife, or he got pregnant because her wife couldn't. His wife, wow, this is so hard to say. He got pregnant because his wife couldn't have kids. and they ended up getting divorced. And it was the first time in history that there was a case court where a man got pregnant and they were trying to decide the custody. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's a thing now. Like, I have nothing against that, but I'm just like, I never thought this would be the world we lived in. Oh, yeah, okay.
like,
I remember why. It's because yesterday I was watching Lightyear, and before I watched it, like, apparently the movie was like not banished, but anyway, certain countries refused to like diffuse the movie because there was a gay character in the movie and she kissed her wife in the movie. And because of that, they refused to show the movie in their country. So I'm like, I was curious what kind of kiss it was. And it's like literally just like the guy, because Lightyear is like trying to test a light speed thing. So it's like every time he goes to test it out, he comes back like many years later. So it's just like you keep coming back. It's like at some point he comes back, opens the door, and sees like his friend, that woman, just like briefly kiss his wife for like a split second. I'm like, wait, that was the kiss? That's why they're upset? And it's like, that's nothing. I wouldn't even have like noticed it unless I knew that certain countries refused to show because of that. However, the thing that did stand out to me is they're a lesbian couple and one of them gets pregnant and has a kid. And it's like, I mean, of course, I know that's possible with like, someone donates their sperm, whatever. But it's like, there's no explanation. They just kind of like put it into the plot, like as if it was completely normal. I'm like, wait, there's that in the movie and you're upset because two girls kissed. Like what?
Yeah. I feel like there's such a, when I see backlashes and stuff like that, the way that I take it is sort of like people are afraid or they're upset because the world is more complex than they're able to process. And so it's sort of like their like safety mechanism, their masculine energy trying to put up boundaries and try to rein in the energy of like how they process the world. Like I think it's just people who just are not able to handle more like more fragmentation of ideas and like different permutations of how stuff can happen. It's very much like there's some people who like there's a one right way to do something and everybody else is wrong. And it's like the types of people who, it's like they always have to be right. They're always answering questions in class. And it's like they know what the right answer is. And if somebody else has like a different way to get there, that maybe even is like a legitimate counterpoint or logical alternative, it's like it's not right because it's not the way that they learned or the way that the authority figure created, like showed them how to do it. And I think people like that just struggle with
Life.
like like variability. And for me, I'm like, that's the whole, like that's what makes everything so interesting and fun, is like stuff's new all the time. But I don't know. I mean, I do.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Not it.
I do feel like I understand like that perspective in terms of like from a sense of safety. Like if you don't understand what to do with hypercomplexity, it can like destroy you. Like you can get paralyzed by indecision. You can not know how to discern choices. And so you see, you'll like social media just keeps people stuck and like less productive and things, just because it's like just a constant onslaught of um
Bullshit.
decision all the time. And I think that's sort of in some ways like how people People just like are overwhelmed and don't know how to process like all of the different possibilities of
But I guess it comes down to
life.
human nature, because human nature is like, we need stability. So we need things to stay the same, but at the same time, we need new things. We need excitement. We need adventure. So it's like, it's a constant pull between, we don't want anything to change and we need things to change. And it's like
Right.
that stuff, like, you know, feminism and political correctness and all those things, like it works, but at the same time, it doesn't work. So it's like, I agree with feminism. I agree that everyone should be equal. Unfortunately, a lot of the times, feminism does not become feminism. It becomes women should have more power than men. And it's like, you know, inclusiveness at the principle, it's like, it's great because it's what you're saying is everyone should be equal. No one should be rejected just because of the color of their skin. It's like, yeah, okay, that's good. But then so there are companies that's like, oh, well, we need to hire someone and it needs to be a woman. It needs to be someone who's Black. And it's like, just because they're like, we need that diversity rather than being who's the right person for the job. Like, that's what bugs me about political correctness. It's when I see things like that, it's like, I agree with the principle behind it, but it's just not doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, that's the challenge when you talk about equity. It's like a lot of people think that what equity means is everybody gets the same thing. I don't think that's really correct. What it really, like, the thing that's behind that really means to be everybody should have the same degree of freedom and opportunity. It doesn't mean like everybody should be distributed the same amount of whatever experience or reward or whatever. It's like because you still need to you still need to have built into life, like whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of it. Like you need to figure out how to take responsibility for yourself, and then to the degree that you cannot, then people will of their free will, like society is going to like pick up the slack for the people who like are still kind of lagging behind. But you you don't you don't start from the place of like, oh, give everybody the same thing. It's like it it's yes, that's true, but it only applies to like inherent things like freedom and your ability to express your opinion, you know, to be able to pursue the things, I mean, that you want to pursue, the ability to believe whatever you're going to believe and live your life the way that you want to live your life. But it's not necessarily like, oh, we have to have like the same percentage of different ethnicities in the workforce. It's like, that's not exactly what equity is about. It's sometimes it can be beneficial to create more, you know, a broader spread of perspective, but that's not the point to me.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes, like the best example is when it comes to equality between genders in certain types of work. So let's say like for firefighting, it's like you need to be able to do the job. So that means you need to be able to be strong enough to like break open a door or carry like oxygen tanks and carry people out of fires and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, well, no, like women have a certain level they need to attain and men have a different higher level. It's like, it's regulated by their body mass. But it's like, no, you need to be able to do the job. It doesn't matter who you are. You need to be able to do it because otherwise people will die.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's when there's situations like that I'm like, it just like, it doesn't feel right, you know?
Yeah.
It's like everyone should have the opportunity, but if you can't rise up to the challenge, then you don't deserve to do it.
Right.
And it's like, it's the same for every job. Like, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's like, I'm sure there are certain jobs that women are better at than men. And it's like, Why should we
Mhm.
force people? It's like, no, I'm a guy and I should have the right to do this. It's like, if you have the necessary skill, sure. If not, then no, you're not going to get hired.
Mhm.
And the funny thing for me is like, well, it's not really funny. It's more like annoying, but it's like in media when you see it. Like the best example is I watched the series Baymax on Disney Plus. That's based on the Big Hero 6 movie.
Mhm.
And every episode is like Baymax who goes to help a different person or character or whatever. And it's like in one of them, like it's a little girl who's at school and she's having her first period and he like helps her. It's like, that's good. Like it's a topic that a lot of the times we wouldn't address in movies and stuff like that because it's kind of sensitive. But it's like, that's what the episode is about. So there's no problem with that. Whereas another episode, it's like, it's a guy who has like a mobile restaurant and he sells fish soup and only fish soup and he becomes allergic to fish and it's like he needs to change stuff. Like that's what the entire episode's about. And then at the end he goes to the farmer's market to buy different produce and he sees like a guy and it's like, oh, it's like, do you want to go on a date? It's like, we didn't know he was gay until that point. It has absolutely nothing to do with the story. Yet they plug it in because they're like, look, it's normal to be gay. It's like that.
Right.
I disagree. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like in Buzz in Lightyear, it's like cool. The character is gay. They kiss. It like they just chose to make the character gay. That's cool. That's part of the story. But it's like in that other one, it's just like, why are you forcing this into there when it has no place there? Stuff like that. When I see that in media, that annoys me because it's like, I don't know. It's just it comes back to exactly what we're talking about. Like, don't try to force something just because you're trying to be politically correct. If it makes sense for the story,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think that is the bigger principle for anything is like when you try to force anything, it kind of it gets in the way of whatever you may be trying to do anyway. So I think like what I've seen with like trying to push agendas, like you see this all the time.
Push agendas or push agenda?
But like Christian films are notorious for this. Like they're so focused on their objective of like their worldview and their message that they sort of miss the entire point, which is tell a good story. It's like they're way more interested in preaching their counterpoint culture that they completely miss the purpose of we watch movies or you know read stories because we want to experience a story. And when we can feel that you're trying to force an opinion, it gets rejected. It's not what you want. And I see that happen from um, political agendas, all kinds of different things. And it's just to me it's funny to watch people fumble the process of trying to get an idea across, like a very crass
Yeah,
forced way.
for me, it's always been the opposite. It's always been like, I want to tell a story. I tell a story, and in the process of telling the story, I realize like, oh, okay, like I'm conveying this principle. It's like, hey, you should be a good person. You should be selfless, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's not what I started off doing and then wrapped a story around that. And I don't know why this came up, but it's like you were using, religion as an example. I'm like, imagine a guy named Christian who hates Christians. Now that is irony.
That would be really funny.
It's like, I hate Christians so much. Why? You're one of them. And he probably gets like pissed every time someone says that.
That would be really funny.
This has been an interesting conversation. It would be funny. It's like, this is the one episode that a ton of people watch, and it's like, they all like destroy us because like, you're being insensitive and politically incorrect and all that crap.
I mean, I think the thing that's so funny to me is it's a topic where it really shows how much that people project what they believe. Because for me, it's like I have my opinions of what I think is good, but like I don't give a crap what people do. It's like you want to push an agenda, you want to like believe something or have something different, you want to, champion equity or like different stuff. It's like I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect my life. And so, I can have an opinion about something and disagree with people, but it doesn't change my life in any way. But there are some people who think that it has some sort of like bearing on their ability to experience happiness. And
Yeah.
and on both sides, there, people who they like have a dog in the fight for some reason. And I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, like it doesn't matter.
In the grand scheme of things, dog fighting is cruel, so you shouldn't have a dog in the fight. I think it's just society nowadays is kind of boring in a certain way.
Mhm.
It's like, you have to go?
What's that?
You have to go?
Nope, not right now.
Okay. It seemed like you were listening to someone else. So I figured out he's gotta go.
I had a page open and the little notification came up with those chat bots that are like, oh, if you have any questions or stuff, like just ask.
Okay. So do you have any questions?
Yes. Why?
Why not?
Because
Because what?
because our Rockstar team then extracted this framework from my head and programmed the process into your GrowthWorks platform.
I'm assuming that's what it says on the screen.
Yeah.
Because that seemed very specific for a random answer. Well, I think you win. Good job. Ooh, what's your favorite meal? Today is about random stuff.
Probably lunch.
Very well. Good job.
Um, if I had to pick a favorite, I would say probably either burritos or fried eggplant and rice.
Fried eggplant and what?
Rice. Like
Rice.
it's like super Asian. Like
Like
my
Asian
mom
style or Indian style?
Asian style. So my mom will like grill the eggplant and peel it and then fry it in a pan with oil or sometimes like dip it in egg before you fry it. And then I'll eat that with like rice and soy sauce. So it's like that's one of my favorite things to eat. Like I'll eat 2 or 3 of those.
All right.
Very,
no-
very Asian type breakfast.
No offense, but that sounds disgusting. Just because I've never liked eggplant, and that was the only time, like, of all the things that I don't like, the only time that I threw up because of eating something that I didn't like was eggplant.
Mm.
So I just have something about eggplant, and I'm just like, nope, no. I don't know why. Just nope, I can't. But burritos, that is a very good choice.
Yeah, Mexican food is one of my favorite things. Like I like many, many different permutations of Mexican food. Chili relleno is another one that I really like. Another fried food. um,
What is that? I'm not familiar with it.
so here, at least in the States, chili relleno is like a big trying to think what the name of the chili is. Like Anaheim chilies sometimes are used, but like these big peppers they're like a bell pepper, but they're longer and
Okay, yeah.
they're more spicy. And so then you roast the pepper and then it's dipped in like a egg and flour wash and then it's fried. Um, so it's like a fried spicy pepper, and then a lot of times they'll make it with like enchilada sauce or cheese. They'll put cheese inside it. And then for chili relleno, like they'll either serve it with beans and rice or they'll put it like inside a burrito or something. So
Wow, that's
it's
good.
it is very good. It's super oily and super unhealthy, and it's delicious.
Ironically, I love really like, like deep fried food. I rarely eat
Mhm,
it, but I
mhm.
love it
Yeah,
much.
it's something that's like you can't eat too much of it, otherwise you get a stomach ache. Like, and if I eat something super heavy like that, if I eat the whole thing in one sitting, like how much they give you for a meal is usually too much. If I eat the whole thing, I usually regret it. Not very much, but it's a little bit like of me is like probably should have eaten like 2/3 of that or half of it. But it's always delicious. But it's just something that's like you don't eat it very often because you get very tired of it very quick. But once in a
Yeah.
while, really good.
I'm curious, is poutine a common thing in the US or not?
No, that's super Canadian. I've had poutine and I really like it, but yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find here.
Okay. I was just wondering, because like I know that it's a thing, so it's like in northern US, like it's probably more popular because it's
Yeah, when we went
yeah.
up to Washington, like near the border, like you could get it, and so we've had it a couple times. One time was like pretty nasty, and then another time was like, okay, if this is what poutine is, like it's pretty good. But
Yeah,
like
sometimes
I like the concept of it, like the idea of, like the fries and gravy and like some, toppings and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of potatoes almost any way you make them. So
I'm trying to think, like, is there a version of potatoes that I don't like and I can't think of a single one?
I think the only kind of potatoes I really don't like are cheap potato chips. Like like
Yeah,
crinkle cut chips that are like low grade quality. It's like, no, pass. But almost anything else, like even like crappy instant mashed potatoes is like, I'll eat it. I much prefer homemade mashed potatoes, but like almost any kind of potato, unless it's just like not seasoned or something, like
So
I'll
we're
pretty
talking
much
about
eat it.
potatoes. Let me show you something that I now carry around with me, apparently.
My new favorite thing about potatoes.
Ta-da!
Oh, nice, you got a masher. I heard David Copperfield, who's like one of my huge heroes. I've got a book of his right here about the history of magic. But I just heard him on a podcast tell a story about his mom apparently immigrated to the United States when she was young, and their family was super poor. And I'd never ever heard this before, but apparently this is something that at least their family did. I don't know if this is a common thing for poor people to do, but he said they would take potatoes and they would heat them up. Like they'd stick them, near an oven or in an oven or something. And then they would use the potatoes as like bed warmers, kind of like you
Oh,
you
yeah,
used to
I
use
heard of
like
that.
rocks. So like I'd never heard of that, but I'm like, oh, that's really smart. And so he was just talking about how versatile potatoes are. Like they're delicious. You can also use them for other stuff, which is like what his mother's family did when they came to America and they were like dirt poor. But it was like a cool insight
Literally
into
dirt
like,
poor because there's dirt on potatoes.
yep, exactly. But it just I just love that story for so many reasons. Like it just gave me some perspective on like, I'm super, super lucky. I should be very thankful for the life that I have. And, because I've never experienced extreme poverty. Like so much of what I have has just been kind of like handed to me through circumstance. And like it just makes you remember to be grateful for, everything that you have. Um, but yeah, just seeing visibility into somebody's life that is like you kind of build up in your head because all you see is the marketing and like professional version of them, and then you just get these glimpses into, oh yeah, they're like a real person. It's like it's just really really cool, especially when it's somebody that you just super look up to, because like all the stuff that they've done and accomplished is something that's very attractive and um aspirational.
Aspirational. Yeah, I don't want to be an inspiration to other people. I want to be an aspiration.
We should have an Instagram feed that's like aspirational quotes, and they're all about butts.
Ooh, Astagram.
What would you rather invest in? Why do people ask these questions? What would you rather invest in? A coach to help you feel better and more fulfilled, or a coach to help you make money, and what? What if
My,
I didn't want to invest in a coach at all?
it's like, I'm a coach. You want to invest in me?
I'd rather invest in a done-for-you service that gets me an outcome.
So wait, who was asking you that?
Just one of the people that I've helped. She was asking it as like like a post.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there's two different people are. Um,
Oh, I just realized. I'm in the X-Men compound.
oh,
It never like hit me until just now.
yeah, totally does look like the.
And it's funny because of all the holes in the ceiling, it's like very good lighting. And almost every single time I leave a room, I like turn off the light. I'm like, oh crap, the light wasn't on. It's just the light of the sun.
That's funny.
The only problem is the light is coming from up. So it's not good lighting for video.
Mm,
It's great lighting for the room, but for video, it just sucks because like it just shoots all the shadows downward.
mhm.
So it's like
I
as
feel like
I just
go ahead.
had to have a small lamp and I removed the shade on top of it and I'm just like putting it next to the phone. It's like staring like almost directly into the light as I'm recording the video for the lighting.
Okay. I think
I
I'm
think I
gonna,
can. I can't.
I'm
No, I
gonna go
can't.
ahead and charge my phone. My phone's almost dead. Um,
Sorry, I just came up with an idea. We should publish children's books that are like the opposite of normal children's books. Engine that couldn't. And like, like Stuart Huge or like whatever, just like the opposite of everything. Like the beautiful duckling. Everybody poops. Nobody poops.
Oh man, that would be really funny. Imagine some alternate universe where that is like those are actually like truths.
Kind of like, I forget where this comes from. For me, I heard it from Family Guy, but I'm sure it comes from somewhere else. But it's like in it's like the meme of like in Russia, like, I don't know,
Mhm.
you don't drive the car drives you, or whatever, like however you want to apply that with whatever you're talking
Huh.
about. But it's like, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
I forgive you.
Aw, thank you. It's funny because when I was young, I was kind of a dick to my best friend. It's just like,
Mhm.
typical guy of like, we're dicks to each other because, that's what a lot of guys do.
Mhm.
And it's like, at some point, we're like, you know what, let's just try to be super nice to each other. And it was kind of weird, but hilarious in a way.
Mm.
So it's like, oh man, you're the best. You're so cool. Like, I'm really glad you're my friend. It's like, because we're just used to being dicks all the time, it felt like
Mhm.
weird, but it was really funny. When you do that, you kind of look like a monkey.
I know. That's why I do
Awesome.
it. It's like if you blow up
Oh,
your
dude,
mouth
you
enough.
do that and hold your breath for like 5 minutes, you'll be a blue monkey.
But it looks a lot like the monkeys in the old planet, like the 60s Planets of the Apes.
Yeah. Yep. That's actually really good. I've never seen the old ones. Like, I've seen pictures and clips and stuff, but haven't seen the movies.
Shows you we haven't really progressed that far. Whatever, whatever primate family tree we are attached to. Like,
I
not
think we
that
come
far off.
from the dumb family tree.
Oh man, got a bunch of ant bites on my legs. They're really itchy.
Well, Ant, that's something.
So I've been looking at growthworks.io. Have you seen anything from them?
Nope, haven't heard from them.
Aaron Fletcher is one of the people on our spreadsheet. He's made a gajillion dollars through ClickFunnels. But his platform is basically like I think, a better version of uh, the Jim Edwards like copy funnels or whatever his
Yeah.
product is. He has so his product is you fill out a bunch of forms and then it automatically will generate all of your business's content. So it will create webinar slides. It will create like teaching framework presentations. So you just like fill in the stuff based on your like you put in your own stories, but like it'll build out the stuff that you need based on your niche. So they've helped lots and lots of different people, and so they already have like pre-made templates and like the standard stuff for coaching businesses, like all of the stuff that you need to like create lead magnets and presentations. So like all of the business in a box type, you'll get this resource and this resource and this resource. Like they generate all of those kind of like resources. And then you just like make little tweaks and customize them to like put your stories and your picture and stuff in them. But it looks like at least the presentation looks pretty cool. And they must be doing something right to have made that amount of money. Like the product has to be a certain level of good in order to get that many, like that much sales. So, but they have an enterprise version where you can white label the service and provide done for you created content for other people's businesses.
Mhm.
And it's like $1,000. So I'm like, they have a 30-day trial period. I'm tempted to try it and see like,
Yeah.
can we generate our own stuff for our own business now that we kind of know what we're doing and we know who we're talking to, we know what our offer is and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, if it works really well for us, would that help? Would that help other people that we help? Because if we're telling people like run your business in 5 minutes a day, and part of the service that they get is like, all right, tell us the story, tell us what your offer is. Like we'll like create resources and stuff for you based off of your like part of our interview frameworks and stuff can be literally like the stuff that they need to put into this system so that they get, presentations and teaching stuff, and then they can tweak to their heart's desire or whatever. But it could be a cool value add. I'm
Yeah.
mostly looking at it in terms of like our own stuff. Oh, email sequences, like it generates automated email sequences and stuff, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how good it is because I feel like every time
I don't
I've
either.
tried stuff like that, it's always been like, yeah, it's not horrible, but
Yeah. Like the
I
the
have
promise of
to,
it sounds good, but it in practice, like the templates are just sort of like, all right, well, you still left me, 60% of the work to do, and it's like these are all just very, very generic kind of things.
the funniest example of like, using software to try to make your life easier is I forget what it's called, but it's like basically a text to speech software, and it's like they're selling it as like it's so real that most people can't tell the difference. And it's like in the video, it's like a person starts talking and then the person stops talking, the voice keeps going. It's like, I'm not a real person. And if you're watching this far, it means you can't tell. It's like, yeah, you can fucking tell. And it's like that's their whole pitch of like most
Right.
people can tell the difference. It's like, yeah, it's super obvious. Like it's way
Uh-huh.
better than most, but it's still
Uh-huh.
obvious it's not a real person.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious to me. I was like, you're trying to sell your product by using it to demonstrate it. It's like, it's not living up to it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I was like, what I've realized is the vast majority of your target market probably not going to be anything like you. Like if you're somebody who's at the level where you're creating stuff for other people, you're probably more observant and discerning than the average person. What I've realized is like I assume people are going to be more like me and want things the way that I would want them. So I always think like, oh, people aren't going to want this because it's not good enough. But I see the stuff that people spend money on, and I realize like dude, like the people that sales works on are not that smart. They're not like they haven't seen enough marketing to have recognized the patterns, or they just don't learn anything as they go through their life. So stuff just always kind of works on them. So I think it's kind of funny. It's like we hang out in these like entrepreneurship circles and coaching circles where the people in them, they may not be super successful yet, but most of the people are fairly astute. And so they complain about, oh, I don't like this about marketing. I don't like that about it. It's like, those are not your target market. Like the people who will buy are like, you dump them into a funnel and like within the first, the first couple times they see it, they'll buy something because you just have made it hard for them to not buy. And then the rest of the market is just like, you just keep following up because they're so distracted and like disjointed in their life that they just need you to keep bothering them until they actually pay attention and look at the thing. And then it's like, oh yeah, I need this. But the people who like are like us, who like sit and analyze stuff and try to learn in the process, like I don't think those people are really ones that you use traditional marketing and sales, like all of that stuff still kind of works if you know your target market really, really well. But it's
I think,
a different kind of relationship.
yeah, I think it's different because there's like people who create irresistible offers
Hmm.
and make a crap ton of money. And then there's
Hmm.
people who buy into irresistible offers
Yeah.
and usually don't make a crap ton of money.
Hmm.
And we're becoming the people who create irresistible offers. We're trying to
Yeah.
deliver as much value as we can, but at the end of the day, most people aren't going to use it and be successful anyway.
Hmm.
So it's like we're becoming good enough. So it's like I feel like once we perfect the webinar and it's like, we practice it enough that we get to the point where it's like really converting well. It's like it's going to be one of those webinars where people go in and like, I don't really need any of this. And then by the end, they're like, holy crap, I want this right now. And it's like, I know I've gone through some good funnels and had that exact experience of like, hey, there's free training. I'm like, why not? It's free training. Ah, crap, it's a webinar. But let's just watch. Maybe I'll learn something. By the end, I'm like, crap, I need this, and I buy it. It's like if it still works on me, even though I understand all the psychology behind it, then it's definitely going to work on people who haven't had all the experience and the knowledge and the training that I've had. And it's just like that. I mean, I don't know. I've never had that experience, but I feel like that would make you feel like so powerful, like not in the way that you take advantage of people, in the sense of like, I've mastered this. When you're able to walk people through that process of going from like, I'm intrigued, what do you have to say, to I need what you're offering right now. Like that would be fun. Like the first few sales, like I feel like that's gonna be really cool. Not just because like, yeah, we made money, but just because like, okay, this works,
Yeah. I think it's gonna be cool to like when we get to the point where, and I think this is like really soon, like in the next few months. Because once we get a handful of sales from like manually doing presentations, once we automate stuff and get it set up, it's like we're gonna start waking up to sales. It's like, oh, somebody bought our thing. That's gonna be a cool feeling. It's like I didn't have to do any work and I made money. And that I think is the dream. It's like that's when you really can lean on the like high performance laziness. It's like this is why you get into business. This is why you build assets and automate things, because you get to like you don't get to have a job where I feel like I'm gonna stay home today, and you still get paid like without cashing in your paid time off.
Yeah, like I've already experienced this with the writing. Like you publish something and you're like, oh wow, like I just got like sales while I was sleeping in the beginning. It's so cool, but it's like it's happened so much at this point that like I don't even look, I don't track anything, like I don't care anymore.
Mhm,
But it's like you make a sale, you make like couple bucks max. Whereas here you make a sale, you make like almost
Mhm.
1,000.
yeah,
So it's not
Okay.
quite level.
that right there, I think we should talk about that. It's like, we want you to have a business that is so normal and so boring that waking up and seeing sales in your bank account is like, whatever. It's like, at first it's exciting.
Wait,
when it
only
becomes-
7 sales? Oh man.
Yeah, it's like when you get to the point where you don't care when the sales are like when you wake up and you're like, oh, I got some more people bought my crap. It's like that's when you know you have a business that is like that's the kind of business that we know how to build. I mean, because that's what's happened with that's what my 12 people business is like. It's like I'll wake up and be like, oh, more people bought the books. Yay.
Sorry, it's just when people buy my crap, you know you've bottomed out because crap comes out of your bottom.
Hmm.
But I feel like that's the thing. Like it's
Oh,
gonna do
dude, I
exactly like
just realized you and I
Right.
have both consistently made money while we're sleeping. Like that's one of the big like sexy promises of marketing. But like that's literally true. Like
yeah.
we've woken up to multiple sales, both of us.
Yeah, the coolest one was in the beginning when I was like first publishing, and it's like I published on like a smaller site that distributes to a bunch of other ones. It's like
Mhm.
in the first, I think 24 hours, it's like, oh, I published 2 stories and I made 7 sales. That's so cool. And then I also published it on Amazon and just forgot about it. And it's like 30 days later that I go check and I'm like, holy crap, I just made like 300, like over 300 sales
Wow.
at $3 a pop. So it's like I made like, I don't know, $700 or something. And I'm like,
Dang.
whoa. Like, of course, it was erotica, and then like
Mhm.
it just kind of like slipped through, and then they blocked everything. It's like because Amazon's very strict when it comes to that, so it wasn't repeatable.
really?
But like a moment of like, I'm just gonna go check just to see if I got any sales. Like, holy
Hmm.
crap! Like that was a really cool experience.
Oh wow. Hmm.
Plus, like that's what I love about. Well, that's what I enjoyed about erotica. It's like you publish a story, and it's like sometimes you make like 3 sales, and you're like, well, it took me 2 days to write this. That was not profitable.
Mhm.
Other times you're like, this took me like 6, 8 hours to write, like to write and publish and everything. And it's like,
Mhm.
I made like $2,000 from this store. Like that's cool. Like I did 1 day of work and I made $2,000. It's like
Dude.
those moments are cool. And it's like I'm looking because I know us, we're gonna get at some point on a stage and give like a webinar version of like a live version of a webinar and like make sales. And it's like we're gonna get to the point where it's like I just gave a 90-minute presentation and we made like $2 million. Like that will be a really cool deal.
Wonder. Let's see what the terms of use are. Each limit.
Don't use.
Hmm. Okay. Something that occurs to me is you've already made sales consistently, and some of your work has been like read and downloaded millions of times. So what that's telling me is this is a validated asset or part of your skill set or business that you know works.
Mhm.
So what if we applied the funnel process to some of those products and just like create different bundles and look at like the like funnel hack the like what is it about the ones that consistently sold? Is there any pattern to that? Is it like it was just a good hook or lead that got people to click and pay attention? Or was it like the writing itself actually was good enough that people are like recommending it? And then it's like if you could just set up one bundle with great like a great lead like sales page, and then you just have one or two upsells that make it so that your average order value can get a decent bump. You could just run ads to that, and I mean, or maybe not even run ads to it, like find a place where you can set up an organic traffic funnel. I don't know.
That's just the problem is I've actually done the research because we
Mhm.
talked about it a while back, and it's like
Mhm.
ClickFunnels does not allow adult content.
Mhm.
Stripe does now not allow adult content, and
Mhm.
Facebook or any kind of advertising platform does not allow adult content.
Mm.
So it's like there would be a way, but it's like I need to find a platform where I can host the
Mhm.
funnel, and I would need to
Mhm.
find a platform where I can advertise. So probably on porn sites, stuff like that. That would probably be the best
Mhm.
option. But it's like it wouldn't be as simple as like, hey, create a funnel and click funnels and run traffic to it. It's like I
Mhm.
need to find workarounds for every step of the way. It's like I need to
Mhm.
find a workaround for the funnel. I need to find a workaround for the payment. I need to find a workaround for the ads. It's like
Mhm.
it can definitely be possible. But it's like, do I want to go through all that trouble?
Mhm.
I don't know. And maybe it's more like down the line, like once we've proven this funnel, it's like, all right, this funnel works. What other assets can we plug into a similar
Mhm.
funnel monetize? And at that
Mhm.
point, then maybe we can come back and be like, all right, I'm going to bundle all my stories together and create
Mhm.
a funnel for that and like have upsells and create the entire funnel, find a payment processor that allows adult content,
Mhm.
run ads on porn sites and just, you know, make money through that. But for
Mhm.
now, it doesn't seem worthwhile because it feels like we're still learning or not learning, but like perfecting the process of building a profitable funnel.
Mhm.
And I think like for now, it just makes sense, like focus on that, perfect that.
Mhm.
And then once we're like, all right, we understand how to do this. We've
Mhm.
replicated it a couple of times. We know how this works. Then we can go
Mhm.
and do it.
Yeah. Like I wonder if that story that got, millions of downloads or reads, if if that became like your lead magnet, just plaster that everywhere. If you do like if you just had a text to speech version of that story and just make a little video and then post it on all of the like free porn tube sites, and then have like the title, it's like read by you know millions of people, blah blah blah. And then it's like, would you like a copy of this? Click here to download it.
Hmm.
And then that gets them into your funnel.
Hmm. Like that's the thing. This would be so much easier if I was a girl, just because people want to watch that and listen to that. As a guy, it's like people have no freaking interest in that.
I mean, you could totally hire an actress to read, or be like the face of that brand. I mean, there are people who would absolutely do that. Like, just provide a
True.
couple stock photos. Just know that this is going on a porn site. Like, think of this as an acting gig. And
I
you don't even
mean,
have to be.
to be fair, that's what I did. Like I
Uh-huh.
found a picture on a stock site and it's like use that as a profile picture for my author page. And it's like
Oh, you could totally, you could actually, you could create like more intrigue by like having the author be sort of like a mystery person. Like you have stock photos and it's like you can't quite see the person. It's like the eyes are just a little bit, it's like
bye. I'm guessing his phone died. Oh, that's pretty funny. I don't know if he's gonna rejoin or if I should just end. Okay, so I'll end the live.